My name is Ryan, and I live in Denver. It was a slow Thursday morning when my phone rang. I was halfway through a cup of black coffee, trying to clear the fog in my head, when I saw the name flash across the screen. Margot, my stepmother. I hadn't spoken to her in months, by choice. After my dad died, she made it clear that his world, and mine, had no reason to overlap anymore. She swooped in like a vulture, cleaned out his belongings, and redecorated our home within weeks, as if trying to erase every trace of him, every trace of us. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something about the timing felt intentional, so I picked up. "Well, Ryan," she said, voice cool and cutting. I thought I'd be kind enough to deliver the news myself. I didn't reply. I'd learned it rattled her when I didn't play into her games. "I sold your house," she continued, pausing for dramatic effect. "The one your father left behind. I sold it to teach you a lesson about respect. You've been avoiding me like I'm some kind of villain. Maybe this will humble you a bit." My jaw clenched, but my face stayed neutral. "The house?" I asked calmly. "Yes. The new owners move in next week," she said with a little laugh. "You really should have kept in touch. But now? Well, too late." I stayed quiet for a second, letting her bask in what she thought was a victory. Then I chuckled, slow, deliberate. "Good luck with that," I said. She paused. "Excuse me." I said, "Good luck with that," I repeated, still smiling. Because what Margot didn't know, what she could never imagine, is that 2 months ago, I had a meeting, a private meeting, with my father's lawyer, a man named Harold Mays, who had known my dad since college and treated me like a son. Turns out, Dad had changed his will just 3 days before his heart attack. It was handwritten, notarized, and filed away quietly, just in case Margot tried to pull exactly this kind of stunt. But I didn't tell her that. Not yet. She muttered something under her breath, clearly thrown off. "Why are you so calm?" "Because," I said, leaning back in my chair, "it's always fun watching people dig a hole they don't know they'll fall into." I ended the call before she could respond. My hands were steady, my pulse even. Let her have her moment of triumph. Let her imagine she'd kicked me out of my own father's legacy. She had no idea what was waiting for her, and I had every intention of watching it all unravel, piece by piece.
2 months before Margot made that smug phone call, I sat across from Harold Mays, my father's longtime friend and attorney. His office was quiet, lined with dark mahogany bookshelves and framed degrees, the kind of place where serious things happen. "Your father wasn't a man who trusted easily," Harold said, sliding a thick envelope across the desk. "But he trusted you." I stared at the envelope, my throat tightened. "I thought his will was settled years ago," I said. Harold nodded slowly. "It was, until Margot started meddling." "Of course she did. Ever since she came into our lives, Margot had been playing the long game. She married my dad after knowing him for 6 months. At first, I thought maybe she actually cared. She played the role well too well. Sweet smiles, hand-holding in public, pretending to mourn my mother's memory like it was her own grief. But that act didn't last." Harold continued. 3 days before his death, your father came here unannounced. He looked exhausted, like a man carrying secrets too long. He said, and I quote, "If anything happens to me, I need to make sure Margot doesn't take everything." I opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a revised will, one that named me the sole owner of the house, along with detailed instructions to keep it quiet until absolutely necessary. He didn't want to fight while he was alive, Harold added, but he knew Margot's true colors, and he made sure you had the upper hand. I sat back in the leather chair, overwhelmed. A part of me wished my father had confronted her while he was still here, but another part respected him for thinking ahead quietly, methodically. That was Dad. He didn't like drama. He liked precision. "But she's living in the house now," I said. "She's got full access." Harold smiled, almost grimly. "That's the beauty of it. The property title was frozen for review the moment the new will was filed. She doesn't legally own the home. She's just a guest with a grudge." My heart raced. "And if she tries to sell it?" I asked. "She can't," Harold said simply. "The transaction won't go through. Her name's not on the deed. Not anymore." I left his office that day with a copy of the new will and a growing fire in my chest. I didn't tell anyone, not even my closest friends. I waited, patiently, and now, 2 months later, Margot had just told me she sold a house she didn't legally own. She really believed she'd won, that she'd kicked me out of my childhood, scrubbed my father's memory clean, and rewritten the ending in her favor. But the story was just getting started, and the next chapter, that would be mine to write. 3 days passed after Margot's phone call. I didn't reach out. I didn't check in. I just waited. That's the thing about people like her, they unravel faster when you say nothing. Then, late on a Monday afternoon, my phone rang again. Same caller, same smug name on the screen, Margot. I let it go to voicemail. Then came a second call, and a third. I picked up on the fourth. What the hell did you do? She snapped, no greeting this time. I leaned back in my chair and raised an eyebrow. I assume this isn't a courtesy call. The sale didn't go through, she hissed. The bank flagged the title transfer. They said the deed had changed ownership. I stayed silent, letting the storm build on her end. You knew about this, didn't you? She accused. Margot, I said, calm as ever. You can't sell something you don't own. There was a beat of silence on the line. I imagined her pacing the living room, heels clicking on the hardwood floor my father had installed himself. The same room she once banned me from entering. What are you talking about? She finally snapped. Your father left me this house. Not in the final will, I said, my voice razor sharp now. The one he signed 3 days before he died. You know, after he caught you shredding old documents in his study. More silence. Yeah, he never told her he knew. But he told me, and he made sure the lawyer knew too. I have the new will, I added. Signed, notarized, and filed before he passed. I'm the legal owner. You're just a squatter with expensive wine taste. You little. Careful, I warned. Every word you say now might be read aloud in court later. She was spiraling. I could hear it. Her breath quickened. Her voice cracked. This is illegal, she said, trying to regain control. You set me up. You're stealing what your father built with me. I laughed, short and sharp. He built that house before he ever met you. You married into it. You lived in it. But it was never yours. I let that settle before continuing. Now, I suggest you pack your things before the paperwork's served. You'll be receiving a formal notice soon. I'm not coming to the house, you're not worth a scene. But I'll be there the day you're gone. Ryan, she whispered, her voice suddenly small. Where am I supposed to go? I paused, genuinely surprised. Was that fear? Vulnerability? I'm sure you'll figure something out, I said. You always do. After all, you're good at manipulating people. Just not the law. I hung up, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like a powerless kid in his father's shadow. I felt like someone taking back what was stolen. But I wasn't done yet. The final blow was still coming. The eviction notice was delivered 2 days later courtesy of Harold's office. Clean, official, and irrefutable. She had 7 days to vacate the property. I didn't show up at the house. Not yet. I didn't need to. Let the silence haunt her. Let the walls remind her that every step she took inside that home, my father's home, was borrowed time. By the 4th day, she texted me. This house was part of our marriage. I deserve something. I didn't reply. By the 6th day, she called again. Twice. I didn't pick up. I had nothing more to say. Everything she needed to hear was written in black ink and sealed by the court. Then the 7th day came. I arrived just before noon. The driveway was empty. The blinds were drawn. The front door, once painted bright yellow by my mother, long before Margot's reign, was now dull and gray. I unlocked it slowly. The house was eerily quiet. Furniture gone. Drawers emptied. And on the kitchen counter, a single envelope sat with my name scribbled across the front. I didn't touch it. Instead, I walked through each room. My childhood bedroom, the den where my dad taught me chess, the hallway where we hung our family portraits. Every corner held something she tried to erase, but now it was mine again. At the back of the house, in my father's old study, I paused. The air still smelled faintly of cedar and ink, his favorite scent. She never touched this room much, not really. Maybe even she knew better. I sat down in his leather chair. It creaked under me, old but sturdy, just like him. I opened my phone and scrolled to the deed. My name was there, bold, clear, undeniable. Margot had tried to sell my legacy, humiliate me. She wanted to erase me with a single signature. But in the end, it was her who disappeared. I did eventually open the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. I never loved your father the way he deserved. I see that now. Maybe I never deserved any of this. But I was angry. Angry that he trusted you more than me. Maybe that's why I tried to take everything. I'm sorry. Or at least, I want to be. Margot. There was no apology that could fix what she broke. But I wasn't there for vengeance. I was there for peace. I stepped outside, breathing in the quiet afternoon air. The house behind me no longer felt like a battlefield. It felt like home again, not because of what it held, but because of what it meant. This wasn't just about bricks, paint, or legal rights. It was about my father, about memory, about legacy. Margot had played her game, but I'd finished it, and as I closed the front door behind me, my door, I smiled. because the past was finally right where it belonged, behind me.